Hello and welcome to Reboot Theater. I'm your host, the Invisible Man. Well, it's that time of year again, Christmas! And this time I spelled it correctly. I checked. Well, here we are again. Same snowy background, same music, same time of year, and the same movie being sold to us a third time. As you probably heard, Illumination just released a new version of the beloved classic, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. When does it end? When will they stop remaking old stuff and give us something new for once? Given that laziness, I wanted nothing more than to review this movie so that I might tear it to shreds. But you know what? I'm not going to. Because Christmas is about goodwill. So today I'm going to take you back to the good Grinch remake with good old Jim Carrey. And if you think I'm hiding the fact that I couldn't review the new one because it's still in theaters, go suck on a fruitcake! This is the live-action classic, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. The movie opens inside a snowflake in the little town of Whoville. Well, I sure hope that lands somewhere clean. Just imagine if it landed, let's say, next to a doghouse. How do you think that would go?
Streets are filled with Christmas cheer.
Boy, nothing beats Christmas, right?
I guess.
Yes.
Arbor Day was fine, and Easter was pleasant, and every St. Fizzin's Day they ate a fizz pheasant.
So if they celebrate both Easter and Christmas, does that mean there's a Who Jesus in this universe? Like in this little tiny snowflake there once lived a man who could walk on Who water and died for their Who sins? Maybe there are even more Jesuses in this world. Like one for every species.
If I believe in Jesus hard enough, I will not die.
If I believe in Snake Jesus hard enough, he will die.
If I believe in Tree Jesus hard enough, both of them will die.
Yay! Thank you, Tree Jesus!
Oh, and Tree Jesus was turned into the cross! Of course!
Barfingles welcomes you. Merry Christmas. Thank you for shopping Barfingles.
And for the next 5 minutes only, 99% off.
Now, many folks tend to criticize this part of the movie. They don't like how the Who's get swept up in the commercialization of Christmas instead of realizing that it's about more than just getting stuff. Many folks believe this undercuts the moral of the story. False! That makes the message of the film even stronger! In the original, they just seemed to know that they didn't need presents and goodies to have a Merry Christmas, they just needed each other. And in this version, they also realize that, but not until the end. And by not having them realize that right away, you show character development. It makes it that much more refreshing when they realize the true meaning of Christmas. So yeah, I don't have a problem with that. We then leave the booming economy of Whoville to focus on everyone's favorite sourpuss, Mr. Grinch.
So they want to get to know me, do they? They want to spend a little quality time with the Grinch. I guess I could use a little social interaction.
Who but Jim Carrey could do this role? I ask you, who else has enough charisma to pull this off? Voice acting is one thing, but to bring this character to life in live action takes skill.
Hey, stranger, won't let you go till you buy a chapeau.
If off you won't piss, take a whiff of this. And after his breath kills this man, these bikers run over his corpse. Deck the halls with boughs of holly! We then meet our female lead, Cindy Lou Who, played by Taylor Momsen.
Well, it's just I look around at you and Mom and everyone getting all kerbobbled. Doesn't it seem superfluous?
No more than 2, huh? Okay, I know she's a little older in this version, but what kind of 7-year-old uses the word superfluous? Most adults don't even know that word. I mean, I totally do, but, you know. We also find out that the Grinch is so feared in Whoville, the mere mention of his name causes chaos.
It was too Grinch!
What do you want? I mean,
Grinch? Oh no!
Yes, listen to the old lady with green hairy fingers. She knows what she's talking about. We then cut to the post office, where we find Mr. Grinch causing trouble.
It'll take them years to sort this out. This is his, now it's yours, and this is hers, now it's his.
Well, no wonder my Amazon package is always late. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. Cindy Lou goes in the back to drop off some letters and discovers Mr. Grinch. Ate your heart out, Tom Holland.
The Grinch!
Okay, that is terrifying. A strange man hiding in the back of a post office and then approaching a little girl while wearing no pants? How on earth did this get a PG rating? In the commotion, Cindy Lou falls into the sorting machine. Oh no! I'm gonna become an Italian lamp!
Bleeding hearts of the world unite!
Luckily, the Grinch saves her and she thanks him for his help.
Thanks for saving me.
Oh, I don't like where this is going.
Is that what you think I was doing? I merely noticed that you were improperly packaged, my dear.
Now, this is all meant to be good fun, but after the last child predator scene, how would this sound out of context?
Hold still! Can I use your finger for a second?
No, you cannot. Moving on. That night, Cindy is confused about why Mr. Grinch saved her life. She's also feeling a little lost because everyone around her is so wrapped up in the Christmas festivities that they don't really have time for family. Little Cindy just doesn't know what to think anymore.
Where are you, Christmas? Why can't I find you?
Aw, little Cindy Lou Who is so adorable. I wonder what she's doing now.
Back to the
Cindy Lou? Okay then! No joke, that's the same girl. This is Taylor Momsen, the same girl who played Cindy Lou Who as a kid. Let's just say puberty hits some of us harder than others. Goodbye, sweet childhood innocence. Hello, adulthood, that is hot! The next day, Cindy asks the townspeople about the Grinch, and we learn about his origin story. Are we sure he's not Spider-Man? Apparently, he floated from the sky in a parasol and landed in some old lady's tree.
Oh, so that's how it works.
Yes, that is how it works. Ask no more questions. Growing up, he was made fun of for looking different than everyone else, but he also hated Christmas even before that happened, so what was his reason again? But even the awkward nerd can be a stud muffin. His uniqueness attracted the attention of Martha May Whoville, played by Christine Baranski.
Did I have a crush on the Grinch? Well, of course not.
I didn't ask you that.
Oh.
Wishing to look his best for Martha, Mr. Grinch gives in to peer pressure and decides he should shave his beard. But shaving is kinda like riding a bike.
Look at that hack job!
You need to get a few cuts before you get the hang of it. And in that moment of pure embarrassment, he just snaps.
Stupid ribbon! Stupid tree! I hate Christmas!
The anger, the fury,
the muscles.
What was that? Nothing. Then he ran away, climbing up Mount Crumpet, where he lived the rest of his life all alone, feeling like more of an outsider than ever before.
So, whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood outside his cave, hating the Whos.
Hate, 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 hate. Double hate.
loathe entirely.
So to get his spirits up, Sydney suggests to the town that they name Mr. Grinch the guest of honor at their annual Christmas celebration. She goes to invite him and...
Excuse me.
Hello, little girl.
Run for your life.
What do you want?
So she invites him to be the Cheermeister, but he's not interested.
That's a good one.
I know you hate Christmas. But what if it's all just a misunderstanding?
Don't care.
I mean, I myself am having some Yuletide doubts.
I'm sorry, your session is over. Please make another appointment with the receptionist on the way out.
Please, please, you have to accept the award.
Award?
Holy who Jesus!
You never mentioned an award.
Just for the record, she's not the award. So he agrees to come down and partake in the festivities, but really it's just to make his ex jealous and get back at the kid who bullied him. When did this become a Disney Channel movie? So he goes down to Whoville to collect his award. And he certainly gets it. And in a weird way, so does Martha. What was this rated again? PG? Really? If you say so. Mr. Grinch gets thrown into the festivities and force-fed every junk food known to Who's. But by the end of it, he comes out having a love for the Who's that he never felt before. Hooray! Then his heart grew 3 sizes that day until the mayor decides to open up old wounds.
The gift of a Christmas shave.
I officially hate the mayor. He has no redeeming qualities. He's just pointlessly cruel. And as if that wasn't bad enough, he then proposes to Martha right in front of the Grinch. And to make sure she'll say yes, he tries to bribe her with a new car!
Generously provided by the taxpayers of Whoville.
Mayor Mayhew is trash. Mayor Mayhew is trash. Fortunately, Mr. Grinch, who is starting to look like the good guy at this point, talks some sense into these greedy ashholes.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? That's what it's always been about. Gifts. I want golf clubs, I want diamonds, I want a pony so I can ride it twice, get bored, and sell it to make glue. Mistletoe. Now pucker up and kiss it, Whoville!
Oh, that always cracks me up. Then he goes berserk and decides to burn down their tree.
Burn, baby! Burn!
Remember, Tree Jesus died for your sins. This is why we honor his memory, by eating his bark and drinking his sap. We pray to Douglas Fir. We are Groot.
Taxi! It's because I'm green, isn't it?
No, it's because you're a mentally ill psychopath who just burnt down Christmas with a flamethrower! Don't talk to strangers, kids. You never know how strange they'll be. Then he steals a car, wreaks havoc, and does his best impression of a Michael Bay film.
It's gonna blow!
Huh, I guess Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Then the Grinch leaves and goes back home.
Come on. Good thing we have a spare. They're relentless!
Hey, by the way, why is the Grinch not arrested for this? I mean, you can't arrest someone for hating Christmas, but you could definitely arrest them for destruction of property, arson, Grand Theft Auto, disturbing the peace, and, oh yeah, a gigantic fireball that would make Pitbull jealous!
I tell her, baby, I'm a fireball.
But nope, even though everyone knows where he lives, he just gets away with it! And so Mr. Grinch decides he's been complacent for too long. This year, he's gonna do something about it. He must find a way to keep Christmas from coming! But how?
Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea.
So, most of you know the drill here. Mr. Grinch dresses up as Santa Claus and decides to steal all of the Who's gifts, thus ruining Christmas for all of them. But this time he goes a bit hog wild on the sleigh, and he makes a few, upgrades.
On Thrasher! On Vomit and Rinse! We're gonna die! I'm going to throw up, and then I'm gonna die!
He arrives at the first little house on the square.
A little more stealth, please.
Oh, and he steals everything the Who's own, sucks it all up with a vacuum. even a cat. Wait, a cat? But as he's doing this heist, he gets caught by Cindy, who somehow doesn't recognize the same man she just saw 4 hours ago. And the same man whom she invited to the party. And the same man who saved her from being turned into Ovaltine. That's the last Christmas story joke, I promise.
Santa, what's Christmas really about?
Vengeance!
You saw his face! Front and center! You saw the face right there! So he's wearing a hat, so what? You saw his face! How do you not recognize someone you know after you see their face? And on a side note, how many green people exist in this world? That kinda narrows it down, kid! But apparently Cindy is just really bad with names and faces because she actually believes he is Santa. The same girl who used the word superfluous earlier and used it correctly, that same girl is stupid enough to fall for this.
Nice kid. Bad judge of character.
So after stealing everything and taking it up Mount Crumpet, the Whos wake up in the morning to discover the Grinch's handiwork.
What an embarrassment. I've been robbed.
Oh, so they do have police in this town. You know, this whole thing could have been avoided if you had done, anything earlier. But Mr. Grinch has one last surprise for Mr. Mayor.
Kiss me, you fool.
Besides animal abuse. Then the mayor berates Cindy for inviting Mr. Grinch down in the first place. But then her father does the first sensible thing he's done in the entire film and sticks up for his daughter.
You can't hurt Christmas, Mr. Mayor, because it isn't about the gifts or the contests or the fancy lights.
That's what Cindy's been trying to tell everyone.
Well, I don't need anything more for Christmas than this right here. My family.
And so the Whos realize that Christmas is about more than just presents, and they join each other in a joyful Yuletide carol. This, of course, makes the Grinch's heart grow 3 sizes that day. Jim Carrey has an interesting take on that scene.
I'm all toasty inside. Oh, Max.
I love you. Oh, that's enough. Knock it off. Beat it. Get out of here. One step at a time.
I know. That's not what happened in the original, but it makes more sense. Transforming your whole worldview doesn't happen in an instant. Even with a more loving heart, the Grinch is still the Grinch. These feelings of love and joy are new to him, and he's not going to become a completely different person all at once. Another noteworthy change is that he tries to save the sleigh, but realizes he isn't strong enough.
Oh well. It's just toys, right?
He doesn't gain the strength of 12 Grinches until he discovers Cindy Lou is on the sleigh.
What are you doing up there?
I came to see you. No one should be alone on Christmas.
Oh.
Then, and only then, he has the proper motivation, because his new friend's life hangs in the balance.
I gotcha, Cindy Lou!
You did it!
This is the heart of the film. The joy of the Whos alone doesn't teach the Grinch the true meaning of Christmas. Cindy does. She is his teacher. She teaches him that he doesn't have to be alone. In a world where everyone else is scared of him, Cindy is the only one who shows him kindness. That is what Christmas is all about. Going out of your way to do something really nice for someone who really needs it. That is the true meaning of Christmas. The duo then returns everything the Grinch stole, minus one candy cane. And even after the Grinch confesses to stealing everything, he somehow gets away scot-free.
You heard him, officer. He admitted it.
Yes, I heard him all right. He said he was sorry. Besides, looks like everything is all here and accounted for.
Due process? What's that? Then Martha also comes to her senses and turns down August's proposal.
Sorry, but my heart belongs to someone else.
Let me just emphasize this. She could have had you, but she chose him. The guy that broke into everyone's home and robbed them of all their possessions. Because he is still a more decent person than you will ever be. Then Mr. Grinch invites every whodun in Whoville, the tall and the small, up to his house with a feast for them all. And that was the classic Jim Carrey Grinch. How does it hold up? Pretty well, as a matter of fact. I know not everyone feels this way, but for me, The Grinch is an absolute staple of the Christmas season. And it really does feel like Dr. Seuss's beloved book leapt off the page and sprang to life. Jim Carrey is a marvelous Grinch. Taylor Momsen is a great Cindy Lou. Really, the whole cast is great. And even if it's not your favorite, that's fine, because it's just another version. This was never meant to replace the original. It's just a different take on it. It's a more in-depth version of it that talks more about the backstory behind these characters. The Boris Karloff version will always hold a special place in my heart, but this version also has its own place. Can't we all just get along? I mean, that's really what Christmas is all about. Goodwill towards others. It's about making an effort to be your best self. This time of year, it's easy to get swept up in the stress of buying gifts and presenting dinners for the in-laws, but it's hard to remember to put good out into the world. This movie serves as a reminder of that message. One day of the year, just to make an effort to do something really special. I'm the Invisible Man, and Merry Christmas.